do get a win the other night against the Grizzlies, 137-116. They go on a 31-6 run. The blow that game open there, 10-0 run to end the first half. They ended up going on a 22-0 run. It overall was 31-6. They blew away the Memphis Grizzlies. And one guy who played well, who, let's face it, man, we've talked a lot about him. And as Kuminga continues to rise, and he scored 26 points and 5 rebounds and 4 assists, and he looks like a keeper for the Warriors. And
a lot of people walking back their thoughts on Kuminga.
Trust me, I've kept receipts on that one. A lot of people walking back on Kuminga, and a lot of people walking back their takes on Klay Thompson, who had 5 threes and scored 23 the other day. And since Klay Thompson has come off the bench in 13 games, was it 12, 13 games? He's shooting 45% from 3. So the move has worked, and Klay does not look like a wash player. But if the Warriors want to make a deep run, as Steve Kerr was mentioning, and Steve Kerr joined Willard and Dibs the other day, and he was saying that I still believe this team can make a run. Look at what Miami did last year. Look at what the Lakers did last year. Some people are going to laugh at that. But they do have the pieces, I think, to win a round or two. But if they have any hope in doing that, obviously Curry has to play like Curry. Draymond has to be special. Kuminga has to continue to rise. The key is Andrew Wiggins. And I know it's funny to say that. And I get why people don't want to count on him. I get it. I understand it. He had 22 points the other day and 10 rebounds, a double-double. It was a Memphis Grizzlies. Problem is consistency with Andrew Wiggins. But the Warriors want to have any shot at doing what Steve Kerr thinks is possible, which is making a deep run out of the play-in tournament. Andrew Wiggins has to do what he did the other night, which is be aggressive, be efficient. He was 9-14, 4-6 from the three-point line, 22 points and 10 rebounds. And there's 14 games left. Is there anybody who has hope that Andrew Wiggins can be that consistent player over the next 14 games and help the Warriors go on a little run here? I know it sounds ridiculous. I sound ridiculous right now. But on the postgame show the other day, Mully and I talk about this all the time. Mully says this every single game. If the Warriors make a run, it can't be if Andrew Wiggins plays like this. It has to be Wiggins has to play like that. He has to play like that if the teams want any freaking shot at doing something and making some noise, as Steve Kerr mentioned the other day.
Well, he'll have a game here and there. It's more about the consistency, Bonte, right? I can't remember the last time he had 3 or 4 great games in a row.
I agree.
When was the last time? 3 or 4 great games in a row.
May have been a couple years. No, it was during the 16-game stretch. It was during the 16-game stretch where
3 or 4?
Three or 4.
It just feels like to me it's been 1 out of every 3 or 4.
No, I understand.
Been good, and maybe I'm underrating some of his performances.
I understand why you feel like that.
So it feels like we've been asking for that for multiple seasons, and he hasn't been able to deliver. I feel like that ship has left the harbor and it's not coming back. I would go, watching Draymond the other night, and then his podcast and him going at Taylor Jenkins. I don't know what he's getting at with that. I don't know why he continues to rip Taylor Jenkins. I think he just needs to let that one go. To me, it's like an engaged Draymond.
Wait, he ripped Taylor Jenkins?
Well, he was basically saying that when they got into the fracas, this is on his podcast. It got dropped last night, and I listened to it, parts of it last night, parts of it this morning. He was basically saying, I'm
listened to a lot
here.
of his podcasts lately.
What?
You've listened to a lot of his podcasts lately.
He's put 3 or 4 out in the last 2 weeks.
You're taking a break from it for a while.
Hashtag new media.
Well, you know what? They've been shorter episodes, so they're easier to consume. And then once it starts and I'm feeding the baby and I'm just kind of there, Right. He said that Taylor Jenkins flopped when he hit him. Essentially, I'm paraphrasing, flopped and sold it like he was hurt and got up slow. And Draymond was like, if you were really that hurt, then you should go to the locker room. And I think he was insinuating that Taylor Jenkins was selling it so that the officials would kick Draymond out of the game.
Okay. Anyway,
my thing would be Draymond, I need you to just play engaged basketball. I need you to go. Right now, I think Kuminga is more of a sure thing night to night in terms of focus than Draymond, which is kind of sucks.
Well, Draymond's played well.
But his attention is so dedicated toward the extracurriculars. But
you can say Kuminga's focus. Well, Aldama's hitting wide open threes, and they had to call a timeout to say, hey, Kuminga, you need to focus on this guy. This guy just hit 6 threes. He just hit a 6-3 in the first half. Let's go. So it was a team-wide lack of focus.
No, I agree with that.
You know,
but Kuminga's bringing it intensity-wise. I thought he rebounded brilliantly in that game, and I thought that his attacking was outstanding. I mean, Kuminga right now has... Whatever. You want to say he's the second most important Warrior, second most consistent Warrior, second best scoring? Like, he's somewhere in that mix.
I think, I look back to Andrew Wiggins, and people could say it's a lost cause. If he's a lost cause, this team's going nowhere. They're just going nowhere. Now, you asked, when did he have a 3-game stretch? I was looking at the game logs here.
Yes, please, when?
Dude, he had a 3-game stretch where he shot 16, 22, 20 of 30 from the floor. He scored 17, 22, 23. He was very efficient. That's when they lost the 1-point game. They lost the 1-point game to Sacramento when they pulled the lead. They lost to the Lakers in double overtime. Then they beat the Sixers at home. But he went 17, 22, 23. Rebounds 4, 5, and 5. Assists 4, 3, and 4. Again, 20 of 30 from the floor. So he had that stretch before he stepped away from the team due to personal reasons to where he was giving you 15 to 5, but he's shooting 46% from 3 and 53% from the floor. Now, this may just be who Andrew Wiggins is this season. Hey, love it. You're not going to change the screen from orange to blue? You're slipping. I'm kidding. I'm messing with it on YouTube. Just make sure he's working. But
it's already blue. Don't scare me like that.
Sorry. I'm behind on YouTube. But honestly, but that, to me, is the key going forward. Am I off base with that? Like, 888-957-9570, DubNation. By the way, shameless shout-outs coming up in 20 minutes. And again, if you're new to this, shameless shout-outs, you can shout out your car, you can shout out your dog, shout out your wife, shout out your husband, shout out your baby daddy, shout out your baby mama, shout out your goldfish in your fish tank, shout out, if you want to shout out Disney Channel and having all those movies available for youngsters, shout out to Disney Channel. Shout out whoever the hell you want to shout out. 888-957-9570. Shameless shout-outs coming up. But I do want to take some dub calls. DubNation, what has to happen over the next 14 games to get you to believe that the team has enough to make a run? Because I feel like DubNation is down on this team. DubNation is just like, they're already talking about the offseason. I'm saying to myself, there's still a season. Still got 14 games left.
I know. I do believe a lot of people are ready to hit simulate and go to the off season. I don't think you're wrong when you say that. I do think that there's a lot of people, because I think this year has been on the heels of last year. It's been an exhausting couple of years for Warrior fans. Every time they try to wrap their arms around this team and think that they have a chance, they stub their toe. And a lot of it is self-inflicted, whether it's suspensions, team guys walking away, not playing well. It feels like guys don't want to be. Some guys didn't want to be here.
Right.
Like, there's just a lot, man. There's just a lot going on, and I do also think that Podziemski feels like he's hit a little rookie wall here, and not necessarily that he's tired, that teams are adjusting to him. And they're like, all right, you want to take a couple dribbles into the paint? Fine. We're going to cut off the passing lanes.
Right. We're
going to force you to put it up, right? And I think that they went down the road with Podziemski, and I think it was working for a while. I'm not sure it's that sustainable.
Yeah, but Podziemski's not going to be the reason why you lose in the first round of the playoffs.
He's playing 35 minutes a game.
No, I hear that, but he's not going to be the reason why you don't advance
I
the
agree.
playoffs. This is about the big boys.
But he's got to play better, too.
No doubt. But
if
this is about
play 30-something minutes.
That's on curb. However, this is on the big boys.
I mean, he's got to play
This is on the big boys. So if you want to get to where you need to get to, Brandon Podziemski's not dictating whether or not you're winning or losing games. Now, can he make some losing plays? Can he make some winning plays? Absolutely. But my expectations for him going into the season and my expectations for him now, it's not as high as it is or it should be for guys like Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Chris Paul. And Chris Paul's doing the damn thing. Chris Paul's playing excellent basketball. Klay Thompson's playing excellent basketball.
Well, but when I look at it, just the last couple of first quarters, it does feel like they've come out flat, right? And he's a part of that. And
he is a part of that.
So and again, I'm not blaming it all on him. I'm just saying, when you're this dire and things are at the end of the season and you have to get rolling right now, he's got to get rolling. He's got to hit some shots.
Yeah, but
they got to adjust that starting lineup because they cannot fall into these 12-point gaps to start games. They're not good enough.
They're not good enough. But in my baked-in equation or my pecking order on who needs to do what, Podziemski's down on that list. This is about the big money guys. That's why I always look to Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins looked like the biggest bargain in the NBA a couple years ago when he signed that extension. And now people can't wait to flip him or try to get something from him. But here's Anthony Slater. I'm Brandon Podziemski. Then we'll take your calls, 570. Still a few open phone lines here. Here is Anthony Slater on whether or not Brandon Podziemski has hit the rookie wall.
Well, I still think he does a lot of the small stuff, although he didn't rebound well the other night. And typically he does, right? Usually you see him up at 6, 7, 8 rebounds. His assist totals are, chunk assists, 4 or 5. He's going to take the charge. He's going to play solid enough team defense. Where you have not seen it lately is the scoring, right? Scoreless in 25 minutes the other night. I think his offensive limitations at this point in his career, in a starting lineup that, does not have Clay is maybe shown lately, but that's, part of his growth process. I do think longer term, he has some scoring upside. He's off the bounce threes have been solid this year. His catch and shoot ones haven't. I've talked to him. I know he wants to eventually kind of polish up the mid range and maybe go to the mid range a little bit more. It's been floaters, those little hooks that haven't worked as well, not finishing it inside as much. But again, you mentioned it's part of why this team is the 10th seed. They're starting a 19-year-old rookie. They're playing a rookie center a bunch. They're leaning young, and young is exciting at times in the NBA, but young typically doesn't get you to the West Finals, NBA Finals.
I'm 100% with Anthony Slater. That's not going to get you to the NBA Finals. Starting pods or leading out pods and TJD, they're ascending. They've had very good rookie seasons. Podziemski and Trace Jackson Davis. But if you're counting on these guys on a team that has championship players that has been part of championships, then you're not going to go far.
I don't think fans are counting on them. I think the team is counting on them.
Well, I think the team wants to count out Andrew Wiggins.
Well, that I agree with.
To me, again, if you want to do anything like Steve Kerr or Steve Kerr,
but let me pause you right there because I agree with you. But this is where Andrew Wiggins has been so disappointing. They clearly need a two-guard defensively and offensively. And I thought he could fill that void, and he has yet to do it.